So you've been there a little over 2 years now, right?
Actually, almost 3. So, yep, but first term 2 years, halfway through the second term almost.
Okay. Could you tell me some lesser known facts about you, your background, and you and your background that paved the way to you becoming mayor of Amarillo?
Sure. So I think I joke around that I accidentally got elected, and so really being a small business guy, growing up here, I love the community. Started my first business at 19, building and construction, and so we still run that same business even 26 years later. But then with that, I think I was a complainer first with building safety and really went at it from how do I make this easier and streamline processes and help business. And when I got into it, I learned I really have a passion for my public and for policy and for not just the one area of kind of growth, but a lot of history and how Amarillo affects the entire panhandle. And then I'm a lover of Texas. And so being a true Texan, I never served in the military, but I always had a heart for service. And so it's been a really good fit for me to get down to the city and give my time. I can't say that it's always time well spent for everybody, but we're doing our best.
That's amazing. Since you're mayor of Amarillo, what does Amarillo mean to you personally, and how has living here shaped your perspective on Route 66?
So I think for me, Amarillo represents that old cowboy culture that like is a true agrarian society that really embodies those traditional values. A handshake, your word, treat others the way you'd want to be treated, and living in a community that we're a really big small town. And so we love that about us. Amarillo is pretty impactful. We have way more resources than what we give ourselves credit for. I-27, I-40, right in the center of all things America. And then if you look at the cultural history here, we're a true grit community. And I think we need that in our world today because it is fully acceptable for everybody. Like we want to grow and we want people here, but we're so strong in our identity. We're okay with everybody looking different and being who they are, and it's not a threat in any way to the community. So I love the strength, and then I love the perseverance of the people I get to live around.
Perfect wording. Route 66 has always been about resilience and reinvention. How have those themes shown up through your own journey?
Well, the reinvention I think is probably um, a really good key point on yeah, it's right on the money on like the identity of what Amarillo is. So Amarillo really hasn't ever had to reinvent itself. Amarillo has grown. So like the definition of prosperity is steady, continual growth. And what you've seen here is we've never tried to be bigger than who we are. We've never tried to go too fast. We've also never had to start over. And so because of that, you see foundationally we are strong, and then everybody gets to build on that strong foundation in our community, and we continue to just kind of go further and further up. And that's something where our identity is important, but the reinventing yourself, you have to stay up with um, the advancements of society. And so we're confronted with all the same problems, but we live around some really good people that are problem solvers.
Uh, what do you believe are some lesser known stories or historical moments from Route 66 and Emerald that deserve more attention?
So Route 66 and its 100-year birthday coming up, I got to participate not too long ago in they had wrestling or wrestling out there, and so right in the middle of the street, got to get in the ring and experience it firsthand. Did go ahead and take the chair across the back. Should have asked the guy whether he was a Democrat or Republican before I let him hit me, because I think probably he hit me a little harder than he had to. But the culture and that 70s, 80s, how everything grew through that Route 66 experience was really cool. And then not a lot of people know, but Amarillo used to be called the Yellow Rose of Texas. And so with that, I think I'm constantly learning more and more about my community, how we got here, and the little nuances that make us us.
Yeah. Could you tell me a little bit more about that yellow rose?
Yeah, so so I think just with Amarillo and the yellow grasslands and how it looks up here, and you see how we were settled up on kind of the plain for the railroad to come through. The name didn't stick, and so you got to dig in some of those history books to really find that. But there for a while, like the Yellow Rose of Texas was Amarillo sitting up here because we're just a beacon and a lighthouse on a hill. I want to say there might have even been, something down south that could lay claim to that name as well. But for everything we researched and what I've been educated in, the Yellow Rose of Texas is a pretty cool nickname for my home.
Yeah, for sure. Um, when you look at Route 66 running through Amarillo, do you see its more of its past or its future, and how does that influence your vision facing?
I think for a long time, I felt like I-40 moved everything off of Route 66, and we felt like Route 66 was dying and it would eventually die out. What we now can see and what we know is it'll never be a has been, it'll always be a forever. And so you're watching our historic Route 66, our downtown, the revitalization efforts, everything that we've seen from people investing one shop at a time, one antique store at a time, one restaurant at a time, really pull that nostalgia and kind of that Americana back over to Route 66. And so I love that. And it's one of my favorite places to hang out.
Yeah. Um, Hold on, let me find that question again. What are some of the challenges balancing and preserving the history of Route 66 while pushing Amarillo towards growth and modernization?
The challenges, I think, could be summed up in patience. Like when you get on Route 66, you need to be a little more patient. You need to enjoy the moment. Take your time and drive that slow speed limit and maybe walk a little further because parking's not quite like it is, on those I-40 frontage roads, big strip center mall environment. Appreciating the little things, the old character, the buildings, and those stories from those individuals that are still there.
Um, where are some? Oh, sorry, I already read that question. What responsibility do you feel in ensuring that the benefits of Route 66 tourism and development reach all parts of the community?
So I share in that responsibility, but with a really strong team. So the city of Amarillo has purposefully and very intentionally created our CVB. That's our Convention Visitor Bureau. That's headed up by a group of ladies mainly. I think there's one gentleman on staff over there that are really good at their job, and they promote and they're ambassadors for Amarillo. So they take ownership of downtown. They take ownership of Route 66, the Centennial, and everything that's there. So we've got a whole team that's making sure that everybody around us knows how important and how vital that strip is, but also how cool it is and how much we can enjoy it.
Looking back on your time in office so far, what has been your proudest moment and your greatest challenge?
Oh, it'd be really hard to say just one, right? Um, so uh, the greatest challenge, easily said and wrapped up, is communicating not only the truth but the intentions, and being able to have a constituency that won't just take a Facebook snapshot and immediately jump on whatever the narrative is, and for people to get to see the intentions behind your local heroes in our fire department police officers, but also your local servants, the other people that are public servants, either on staff or elected officials, because we do really live around the best people that you could ever hope to build your life on. you know, I don't know that I'll ever have a greatest success. I think probably what success looks like for me is just leaving everything better than I found it. And so, not trying to point out to one thing, but every little thing that I've had an opportunity to impact or affect, did I do my best at making it better? And then when it's my turn to walk away and hand the baton over to somebody else, I hope they've got an easier road than I did.
Now, my last question to me today. What do you hope future generations understand or feel when they experience Route 66 through Amarillo?
I hope they see that it's more about the person than it is the place, and it's about the character, and the quality of the people that have lived here and grown businesses, raised families, invested, blood, sweat, tears in growing a strong community. Right now we have a good culture of service over self, and esteeming others as better than yourself, is what we're trying to walk out. That fits in the service role, but it also fits in the role of hospitality. When you come into my town, when you come into our town, you ought to feel welcome. You ought to feel loved. You ought to feel appreciated. And you ought to know you're somewhere different than most anywhere else in the country. And that's not only Amarillo, but that's Texas, and we get to boast that. And so, when people feel that and they know they're appreciated and welcomed, I think we've done a good job.